Hello, and welcome to So You Think You Can Fanon, the only podcast that brings you the best, the worst, the worst, all the good jam. And sometimes we bring out Michael Freeney, but that's not this week's episode, unfortunately. I'm Equinox Doodles, or Michael, and with me I have, of course, the spectacular Sergio. Say hi, Sergio.
Hello. Sorry.
Of course, and my good best friend, my super cool dude, Mr. Greg Chudley.
Can I get a descriptor adjective like sensational?
Okay, yeah, sure. With the give me like 2.2 seconds.
I think sensational would work really well.
But
Winky
Sergio
face.
had one that started with S, so I'm
That's
giving you one
true.
that starts with J. We're gonna go with let's go with the Jivin' Jake. How you doing?
Wonderful. I bring a story.
You brought story. You brought offering.
I do.
Brought offering to the fan
going
fiction
off
gods.
of adjectives before story titles. This is a story, an AU story about a superhero very commonly known as the amazing, spectacular, sensational, ultimate Spider-Man.
Superior Spider-Man.
Before
couldn't
you
think of any
reveal
more.
your story, there's one thing that I would like to say.
What would you like to say?
Well, since Michael brought up Mike Freeney, the reason why I was distracted for a second is I was checking Instagram and Silk Tara never responded to my DM about an interview, and it's kind of disappointing.
Tragic.
That's a little sad.
Anyways,
Although I also, sorry, I was about to say I
Speak your
also
funny
would
words.
I also would want to distance myself away from Michael Freeney's work.
Excuse me, Michael Thomas Freeney.
Sorry, Michael Thomas Freeney.
All right. I bring today this story called Sheep and Wolves by JTR 01. In March 1934, the Spider-Man is still continuing his war against the criminal elements of the city. Now Peter finds himself investigating the mysterious disappearances at the Black Cat while dealing with surprising revelations from his own family. So from what
Spider-Man Noir?
I guess, I
Or
don't
just
know. It's
Peter
I
just
like the
Parker in
cover image. It's just some
1934.
dude in like a fucking tuxedo and a cape.
yeah.
He's got two guns.
It looks like it's from DC Universe Online. It doesn't list like 2099 as a specific, or not 2099, Noir as a specific like inspiration. I think they would label it Spider-Man Noir. I think it's like his interpretation of it maybe. Looking at what he's written, he's also written 1939 story about Batman and Spider-Man.
5 years after
He likes
this
the
one.
timepiece, huh?
Yeah, apparently timepieces are. You know why? I figured out why.
Why?
A lot of his fanfics
Yeah.
are Doctor Who.
Yeah, I noticed that. I
mean,
that
I'm
he
all-
has a Doctor Who and radio dramas crossover, and I was like, aren't those one and the same? But then I realized it's specifically a crossover with Dorian Gray for some reason.
I don't even know
The
who
classic
that is.
literary tale.
Oh,
That's fair.
okay.
Yeah, there's a crossover between Spider-Man and Batman,
Yeah, there's
but it's
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Does it take place in 1930s?
Unfortunately, not.
Damn. Like I'm cool. I'm cool with timepieces. I don't know a lot about those times, but I'm cool with them.
War bad.
I mean, yeah.
This was before that.
Oh, this was when people were like war.
This was in between World War I and World War
Oh,
II.
this was-
Everyone
okay, this
pretty
was-
sick of war.
This is
So-
where we were kicking fucking Germany in the nutsack over and over again.
That's great.
So like we put on steel-toed boots and we just started
You started wailing.
started
Who was
wailing.
president in
You did what the
1934?
boy the Nutcracker told you to do and crack some
34
nuts.
would be
FDR.
FDR. You had to
Yep.
ask that?
I'm gonna be
I was
real.
just
I
making
have
sure.
I don't.
You goober. You should
I
know
don't
your
know
lore.
exactly when he started.
I don't
being
know my
president.
American lore.
For being a fanfic about fan fictions and lore, you think you would know the lore of the United States, knowing that Herbert Hoover was the president during the Great Depression in the late 1920s and early 1930s, and then he got dicked down because he
figured
was
it was
bad.
FDR, but I was just making sure.
This
You
is an alternate
goober.
universe. This is where
I'm just
Spoderman
yanking.
is.
I'm just
okay?
yanking your chain, Sergio. You know I'd never be mad at you.
Don't yank the chain.
Okay, so it looks like this guy's written a few stories. I don't know if they're in this universe or if they're just like similar timepieces, but he wrote one that took place in June of 1933, 5 months after the Goblin's death, which I'm assuming is the Green Goblin. He wrote one about the Justice Society of America with Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern.
How
So
could
this
you
seems to be
assume?
a bit of a continuity, I guess.
He's got his own little continuity.
He's
And I
written-
think that's pretty cool.
He's written a Big Bang Theory
Oh.
fan fiction about
Oh.
multiple personality disorder.
That's neat. I
Also,
thought you were just gonna like end off there with the. He wrote a Big Bang Theory, and I was about to say, all right, I'll let say it.
Also, slightly unrelated, but being that I looked up FDR, I happened to look up the 32 election, which is the thing that got him president. Pennsylvania used to have 36 electoral votes, and now only has 20.
It was too powerful. They nerfed it.
I would assume that it was a lot more populated back then, and then people moved out of it, unless
Yeah, that was the nerf.
I think it was
Because I can't remember if we changed how states determine electoral votes.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they were redistributed because there were less than 50 states at that point.
We had all of them in 34, 32.
Don't you love the Electoral College?
Hawaii was 45, wasn't it?
No, we didn't have Alaska and Hawaii. Yeah, we had everything that was on the continental United States.
Yeah, Hawaii's 59, not 45. Close enough. It's really weird that we were mad about Hawaii getting bombed when it wasn't even a state. Anyways, let's read this.
When did that happen? But I don't know what you're referring to.
Sergio.
Are you talking about Pearl Harbor?
Pearl Harbor. Yeah. They blew up Pearl Harbor.
They attacked the United States military. Of course we were.
Yeah, I know it was a joke. Come on now. Anyways,
This is about Spider-Man, right?
this is about Spider-Man.
Okay.
So as you can see on the top, this guy doesn't own Spider-Man. Shocker.
Does he know? Who knows?
That was the first Spider-Man pun of the day.
Oh, I get it. Oh, you're gonna
The
leave a lot of
moonlight
carnage in your
shone
wake.
through the windows. I heard that. Illumination. Illumination and archway to create shadows visible. Something that Peter found to be useful as he changed the shadow, lacking a body to cast it, that quickly blended into the darkness and made Peter pause to look around warily. He had blocked all the doors and had gotten in by smashing through the window, so unless his target
man,
planned to
Peter.
leap out of a building, he was trapped. When he had first heard the stories of the ghosts who stole jewels and attacked women in their homes, he admittedly found it a little far-fetched. Of course, when he looked at himself and acknowledged that there may be some truth to the stories, and he was more convinced that there was something going on when he saw the women those stories were about. And after 2 months of investigating, he had found the one responsible. Dr. Noah Body, a genius scientist with an ironic name who has spent away too much time reading H.G. Wells' The Invisible Man, and seemed to enjoy following in the fictional protagonist's footsteps. Give me a second.
Isn't the Invisible Man not the main character?
Hold on. Give me a second. Timeline lines up. We're good.
Okay.
I would give up, Dr. Body. There's no way out, and I read your notes. If I read your notes correctly, your invisibility formula won't last much longer, Peter shouted into the darkness, his voice muffled somewhat by his mask, which Peter found does a decent job making him sound less like the 16-year-old he really was. Who would like to be Dr. Body?
I would like to be Dr. Body, but before I say I found the answer to my question, Pennsylvania has just been bleeding people since like a long time ago.
That's also that's fair because the coal mines have been.
Yeah, we're actually predicting that Pennsylvania is going to lose another electoral vote in the 2024 election, and it'll have 19, which is the first time since 1800 that it is worth less than 20.
Imagine being in Pennsylvania.
All right. I can make more, Spider-Man. I have it all memorized. Destroying my notes has done nothing but been an inconvenience.
Body's voice echoed throughout the room, which made Peter look around intently to try to see something that showed where he was.
I will kill you. Sneak out while these idiots are distracted by your corpse.
I wouldn't bet on that, Body. People way more impressive than you have tried and failed to kill me, Peter told him honestly as he thought about the freaks he has dealt with over the last year. While none were noteworthy enough, threats like the Empathoid and the Scorcher were far more intimidating than an invisible scientist who never worked out.
Are those OCs?
I'm think
checking.
so.
No, Empathoid is a real character from Earth 616.
Yeah,
He was a purple or pinkish android who was created by an unknown alien race to be attuned to its master's origins.
I think
Scorcher is also a character from Untold Tales of Spider-Man issue 1.
So this man knows his shit.
Yeah.
Because I don't. Empathoid has I don't know how.
I know who Empathoid.
He's only appeared once, it seems.
Yeah.
And that was from.
So he definitely knows his stuff.
1977.
Yeah, that's kind of impressive.
Did he fight Spider-Man?
Yeah, in one
he
issue.
fought Spider-Man.
Anyway,
After he lost control, he took him to a fucking football game.
I just want to say that he's like none were noteworthy. Meanwhile, in this timeline, according to his other fan fiction, the Green Goblin literally fucking existed and probably killed his girlfriend.
Isn't the Green Goblin, like, I don't know, one of Peter Parker's best friends? Not like as the Goblin, but like Norman Osborn.
No, they fucking hate each other. You're thinking of Harry.
Harry, okay.
Harry.
I knew there was.
Dad.
I haven't watched I haven't been a huge Spider-Man fan for a long time. I've just been kind of like, I like the character.
Have you seen the Spectacular Spider-Man TV show?
Is that the one with that was really really good, and then they just kind of canceled it?
That's because of the deal between Marvel and Disney affected the show's airing, and then they made Drake Bell's Ultimate Spider-Man, which is okay. I'll give it an okay. It does a lot of unique stuff, but it's just like Drake Bell's kind of annoying.
I thought their Spider-Verse episode was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no. But yeah, I would
if I
recommend
can
watching it.
It's Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yes.
Well, it's not on Disney Plus, which means I can't watch it.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, you can watch it, just not
Not legally.
Not legally.
I think you can get it on Blu-ray, the whole season.
Spectacular Spider-Man. Yeah, it's a Fox thing, unless I'm looking at the wrong one.
It is technically a Fox thing, but Fox
yeah, I
don't
remember
buy it.
seeing this the art style, and I was like, yeah, that's it. That fucks.
You
I
can
like
buy
it.
There is a Blu-ray that has the complete series.
You can also buy it on Prime Video if you really want to.
That's fair.
Anyways, where were we? Let's get back on topic.
Besides,
The Empathoid and the Scorcher were far more intimidating.
We're far more intimidating than an invisible scientist who never worked out and spent every hour of every day indoors. Besides, the police know you're responsible, Body. Even if they don't believe the whole invisibility thing. They found all the jewels you stole, with no money to get new materials. I'm afraid you won't be making that formula anytime soon. Peter continued as he took a few steps forward and turned around, beginning to wonder if there was a way to drop Body out when he felt it. When he felt it. Okay. The grammar in this is really weird. It's not me not reading well for once. Can you back me up? Can you vouch for me that the grammar's weird?
yeah.
Okay. The warning inside his head that told him of any immediate danger, in which made him act on instinct, leaping forwards and looking back to see a knife cutting through the air where he once stood. Peter took several steps back while Body continued to swing the knife in his direction, the moonlight from outside the windows glinting off the sharp metal. Eventually, Peter took and chance, striking his left fist out and making contact with something that he felt break. He heard Body scream and drop the knife while blood began to form across invisible skin, giving Peter an even better target. While he was never fond of the lessons, it was times like this that he was grateful Uncle Ben taught him how to fight. All it took, what? I feel like times like this is a really bad way to describe being Spider-Man. Yeah, it's a good thing he taught me how to fight. I don't have to use it very often.
Why does
just like every day.
Why do I feel like Uncle Ben teaching Peter how to fight is a little out of character? Unless I'm just like not aware of like the real Uncle Ben.
It's a little out of character. I mean, Uncle Ben.
Like I can see Uncle Ben teaching like self-defense, but I don't see him like throwing fucking hands.
Yeah, if this were Daredevil, whole different story. But no, that's kind of weird. A little sus, if you ask me. Wink.
I mean, it is his own continuity. I guess he can kind of do whatever.
Yeah. I mean, in the Ultimate Universe, Uncle Ben was a fucking hippie, so who knows?
Yeah, that's how I remember him being, just like a fucking chilled out dude.
No, I mean a literal hippie.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways, all it took was taking a few light and calculated jabs to where Body's stomach would be, knocking the air out of the criminal's lungs before reaching with both hands to grab Body's head and slamming it into the ground. That's a little intense. That's a little violent. He's just like a guy.
He's fine.
He's killing people. After checking for his pulse to reassure himself he was still alive, he made sure his wrists were exposed enough and began to spray webbing to keep Bossy trapped to the floor. He didn't want to risk getting the webbing all up his sleeve again, and this way the police can see Body's unconscious form until the formula wears off. So this is the 1930s and he still has web fluid. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Speaking of the police, Peter could hear them coming up the stairs and trying to break through the doors, meaning it was time to make a quick getaway. However, as Peter approached the window, he had an idea that he couldn't resist. So with the wind making his coat flap dramatically, he waited until finally the door was smashed open and the first officer came in, freezing in shock when he saw the masked vigilante.
Okay, so this is like noir.
This is
Peter.
like noir, only mixed with Ultimate, I guess, because he's young, and Spider-Man Noir is like older. Peter turned his head and tipped his hat at the officer and those behind him, smiling with childish glee as he did. He then leaped out the window just as the police started to regain their wits. Yes, he knew it was bold and perhaps a little risky with him relying on his spider sense to warn him if the officer would shoot, but he did it for two reasons. Firstly, the more bold and risky he was, the less confident criminals will feel about facing him. And secondly, he wouldn't be lying if it didn't make him look amazing. You didn't even see.
Sometimes you just kind of like do
Although
something.
I feel like that's a very in-character Peter Parker, like, oh, that looks so cool, and then he just looks like a fucking, like, dope.
Yeah, that's the Peter.
He grabbed hold of the top of the widow and his momentum to swing himself up and land on the wall, crawling swiftly to the roof while ignoring the police on the ground. Once he was on the roof, it was easy to start making his escape, and as despite the good he was done, the year. I think that's supposed to be over, but like phone autocorrect hit him. The year, the police were still reluctant to help and trust him, which was for a good reason. Many of them were on the take, and while Peter knows arresting them would accomplish nothing, he hasn't been shy about smacking a few around while advising them to stop listening to crooks and to get some information. And surprisingly, none have listened to this advice, and all of them want him in prison, presumably to watch as he's torn apart by the inmates. Peter couldn't help but admire how beautiful New York seemed at this time of night. And if someone were to capture a picture of what Peter saw right now, they wouldn't know what New York was actually like. They would think it's a wonderful city with a multitude of cultures and people that somehow learned to live together. They wouldn't see how it was simply a boiling pot where, like everywhere else in America, the poor got poorer, the rich dropped to working class, while some even got richer over the suffering of others. And while this was going on, evil existed in many forms, from the abusive husband and father taking out his anger over how his life has turned out, to the gang leader who was let free, and my eyes are like bleeding right now, and let free without even a slap on the wrist, which left the innocent defenseless. Sure, Peter had believed good can win and evil will get its comeuppance at the end, but despite everything that happened to him and what he's done since getting his powers, he can't honestly say New York has changed. Perhaps he had been naive, but he had sort of been hoping that would have been something. Why is this so hard for me to read? Is it
There's
just
a lot
me?
of words. No,
The
it's
sentence
just a lot of words.
keeps running on. Where was I? Something been different by now. His dual responsibilities as Spider-Man as a photographer for the Daily Bugle hasn't let him discover any change, except for a few children playing the game they call Spider-Man and Outlaws, which often ended with arguments over who should be Spider-Man. And while flattering, it isn't exactly the impact he wanted. While May and Ben often told him it might be hard, there were more good people than bad people if you looked. And to Peter, it felt like New York City was a city where wolves watch for any of the innocent sheep to make a mistake so they can swallow them whole. Holy shit. There's so many words.
That's not how wolves eat.
I'm going to take a bite of my ice cream.
You do that. You make my teeth hurt.
I make my teeth hurt too. How are you guys enjoying the story so far?
It's a lot of words.
Yeah. I think it's good, if not a bit. Well, I wouldn't really say it's wordy, but
I mean, it's wordy in the technicality that it's a lot of words.
well, like overly wordy is like overly describing things. I think he has a little bit. It's like his a little bit too much of run-ons going here. But
Yeah.
I like it so far.
The grammar issues make it a little hard to read, I will say, but I enjoy it. Anyways, he was drawn out of his thoughts when he found himself perched on a rooftop staring out to a familiar apartment, and he cursed himself for coming here. He spent months looking at Felicia's home and hoping she has will let him talk to her, but even when he finally accepted she wanted nothing to do with him, he still ended up subconsciously coming here. Since what happened with the crime master, she has made no contact with him, and it couldn't be any clearer that she wanted nothing to do with him. Yet he often finds... What? He just repeated himself. Okay, yet he often finds himself back here hoping that something would be different while knowing it never will. And he couldn't blame her, as whatever that bastard did to her was so bad she has practically locked herself away. When she does come out, she always wears a mask.
Okay, so Crime Master is a real character.
Yes, and Felicia is Black Cat.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Despite the pointless...
Yeah.
What?
I was about to say, the only Felicia I know of is a cat from Darkstalkers, so...
Close enough.
If she's not Black Cat, I'm going to be a little mad.
Despite the pointlessness of it all, Peter remained where he was, losing track of time and observing her apartment, while the guilt inside made him so distracted that he didn't notice the figure standing next to him until he coughed. Peter leaped back in surprise. While wondering why Spider Sense, as he called it, didn't alert him to whoever it was. He got his answer when he recognized the man to be Lippy, Felicia's trusted bodyguard, and judging from his casual posture, the reason Peter wasn't warned is because he didn't intend to hurt him. Is Lippy a character?
I can look.
Yeah, Lippy Louie.
Yeah, Lippy Louie. He was one of the Skrulls on Crawl.
Oh, yeah. 4. He was a Skrull that pretended to be in the 1930s, so... Yeah, that makes sense.
I will be Lippy because Sergio got to be Mr. Invisible Man.
Alrighty.
Miss Hardy has noticed you were always coming here, and had considered asking you to stop.
Why are you a quaint British man? You're a bodyguard in New
sorry.
York in the 1930s.
Alright, here, let me retry it. Miss Hardy has noticed you always coming here, and had considered asking you to stop. You're welcome.
Lippy said before Peter say anything, his voice cold and full of judgment, presumably for the role he played in Felicia's disfigurement.
However, it occurred to her that it would make things easier to contact you, since you tend to come here fairly regularly. And despite how people tend to get hurt around you, she believes you can be useful.
Peter was speechless, still a little surprised, and definitely more ashamed by his words. And Lippy reached into his coat and pulled out a book. He handed it to Peter, who took it, noticing how it was recently brought due to the cover, but it had been used regular, which was obvious from the wear and tear of the... That's kind of a contradictory statement.
It could have been bought recently, but has been a little bit used because people were looking in it.
I guess. He moved to undo the strap and read it before Lippy gestured him not to.
No. Read it when no one else will see you. I don't want to be here any longer than I have to. We don't need word getting out about Miss Hardy's association with you.
No, Lippy explained, and Peter pushed the book into the inside of his coat, which was somewhat difficult due to being little too big.
We don't expect you to update us on what happened. We just expect you to find out what's happening. If that doesn't stop, we'll just assume you failed. If things go back to normal, don't assume that means you're forgiven.
Peter stood there for a few seconds while Lippy reached into his coat to pull out a cigarette and lighter, and while Lippy was finally breathing out to smoke, Peter realized this was meant to end the conversation, but despite getting the feeling this wouldn't end well for him, Peter had to ask.
Peter?
How is she? He asked in a meek voice, which visibly annoyed Lippy. The man was silent for a moment, to the point where Peter thought he wasn't going to answer until he finally spoke.
She rarely leaves the room, and when she does, it's mainly to show people that she's in charge. She's more suspicious of people, which in the short term has made sure nobody tries anything, but in the long term, that won't end well. And finally, she hates spiders. Now get out of here. Do your job.
His every word fueled Peter's guilt and self-loathing, forcing the vigilante to leave in shame. He began making his way home to feel the feel of the book with a constant reminder of what happened to Felicia, and why he must do everything in his power to help her with whatever it was. Clearly, it was something only he could do, presumably something she couldn't investigate without annoying the wrong people, or even worse, exposing herself to an attack, but that only made his mind race with possibilities. He made himself move faster so he could read the book as soon as possible, and he's nearly out of breath by the time he climbed into the window of his room. He was careful as he slipped out of his outfit, which he hid safely in a box under his bed, except for the mask, which he placed above his wardrobe. That way of Maze found the box for whatever reason. We'll just assume Peter is holding on to Ben's old uniform instead of using it to run around as a vigilante. He put on his pajamas, which were old and definitely in need of being washed. Gross. Pulled out the book from his coat, which he then put on the side of the wardrobe to keep it safe. Sitting at the desk, he flicked on his lamp and opened the book to find photos, slips of paper, and messy writing, that he at first had trouble understanding, but after going through everything, he eventually came to see that the book was documenting disappearances, in particular, the disappearances of her employees. Apparently, the first to disappear was Frances Barrison, back in October, who was a dancer at the Black Cat, and at first it was believed she was working somewhere else. It was only when the other employees who knew her personally explained to Felicia that she disappeared completely that she had Lippy and her men discreetly look into it. They found nothing out of the ordinary, and there was no one who wanted to hurt her, thus they gave up and focused on work. Then the next month, 2 other girls went missing, and a regular client named Sullivan Edwards, who always visited the Black Cat on the same day and had moved stressed to a waitress that if he doesn't show up, something would have happened to him. That's a weird sentence. The bartender had been worried and looked into it and had come back describing the same thing with those missing girls. His place showed no sign of an attack or forced entry, and everyone said that their last memory of him was acting the same as usual. Over the next few months, more of Felicia's employees went missing, all in the exact same way without leaving a trace. This was, without a doubt, odd, but it took Peter a moment to figure out why she came to him. He understood why she didn't involve the police, as they would either not care or this would be in the pocket of one of her rivals, but it took some thinking to understand why she sings have her men look into it. because anyone wishing to take over her territory would see her affection and concern for those who work for her as a weakness to exploit, going beyond mere kindness between employer and employee. If the Spider-Man was to look into his appearances, then it wouldn't raise any suspicions, as everyone would assume he was just doing what he usually does, saving damsels in distress while presumably punching the madman responsible. Eventually, his eyes glanced away from the book for a second to see the sun rising, and he groaned as he realized he'd been up all night. With stopping Bossy taking longer than expected, his detour to Felicia's, and then spending him time reading the book, he'd wasted any chance of getting sleep tonight. May had been noticing the bags under his eyes and was starting to get stricter when he slept and for how long, so was forcing him to do different things that should help with sleep. He needed to start developing a stricter schedule, or she might start checking in on him in the night, which would cause way too much trouble for him. Despite knowing he had to get up in 2 hours, he fell into his bed anyways in an attempt to relax. My brain can't read anymore. Does anyone want to take off narration?
I'll do it.
We're on
Okay.
However, not even that was an option for him, as his mind was too concerned with everything he'd read, formulating plans on how to investigate this. He needed to deliver some photos to the Daily Bugle to help May with money, and he'd promised to help her later today with the welfare center, but he didn't think he could survive another sleepless night leaping across the city. He was always exhausted, and unless someone was shooting at him, it was pretty much a struggle to move for him. So by the time his cheap alarm clock went off, he was still wide awake and even more tired. He forced himself through the morning routine of a quick shower and cleaning his teeth with a toothbrush that hurt more than it should, and soon he was dressed in the kitchen making coffee for himself and May. He rarely had breakfast these days, while May kept insisting he should, since they had enough. Whenever he thought about it, all he could remember were those times Ben went hungry, so May and Peter could eat. Sometimes it got so bad that Ben didn't eat for days. The image of Ben trying to reassure him while looking like he was going to die wasn't something Peter would ever forget. He did his best, however, clear his mind of those thoughts. When he saw May walk in, he smiled as he finished making their coffee.
I was just
Would
about
like
to
come
call
in on
you.
May, he said as he placed her cup on the table, with May smiling gratefully.
Would you like to be Aunt May, Michael?
I will. Thank you, Peter. I guess you didn't get any sleep last night.
She asked as she pointed at his face, taking the cup and sipping it gently.
No, but it's fine. I'll probably just go to bed after I help you at the center, if that's okay. How much are we doing today?
Peter asked her, putting on a smile, which wasn't completely fake. While he was tired, he was proud of May and how she helped people less lucky than them. He didn't know how she convinced anyone to help at soup kitchens or share what little they had, but somehow she did. Ben always said that May could find goodness in anyone and make them listen to it, describing her as a nagging angel on her shoulder, which earned him a playful slap when his wife heard him.
No, you'll go to bed after you're done at the Bugle. I can get help today.
She told him with a shake of her head while getting up to get started on her breakfast.
And starting tomorrow, you will be having 3 meals again today. I put up with Ben's chivalry because it made him charming, but I won't be having it with you. That's probably the reason you don't get any sleep. You're too hungry.
You're not fucking charming, you little asshole. Now eat. Aunt
My
May,
husband
I'm
was
fine.
hot. Why can't you be hot?
Yeah, why can't you be sexy? Aunt May, I'm fine, really.
Peter told her, but unfortunately at that moment, his body decided to betray him as a yawn forced its way out of his mouth. May looked at him expectantly, and Peter reluctantly nodded in defeat. She smiled smugly once he did. Suddenly there was a knock at the door, and they both looked at each other in confusion and surprise. Aunt May.
Sorry. I was trying to find my place. There's a lot of words.
Now who?
Now, who could that be? Can you go and see who it is, Peter, and tell them they better have a good reason for being here this early?
May asked him, and the teenager nodded before heading towards the door. When he opened it, he was greeted by the sight of a girl looking to be the same age as him, light brown hair and hazel eyes that looked at him with nervousness. Just from looking at her, Peter could tell she was wealthy, from the way that she was dressed to how she held himself. Okay, which actually
Look,
made
she's
him
the trans
worse.
icon we needed.
What she was doing here. He was admittedly a little resentful and distrustful of the rich, mainly since experience has taught him that they always nearly bad people who people profiting on suffering. But he didn't want this girl to get hurt by anyone.
Can I help you?
Peter asked when the girl didn't speak, making her jump and fidget with nervous energy. Hello. My name is
Really,
Teresa
Sergio?
Durand. She replied when she was silent again, just looking at him while Peter stared back awkwardly.
Nice to meet you, Teresa. I'm Peter Parker.
He said after a moment of silence, looking back at May in the kitchen, who started to observe what was happening.
Can I help you with something?
Yes, or at least I hope you can. Really, this isn't a bad thing or anything.
Teresa battled for a moment for taking a breath.
I think you're my twin brother.
Peter stare. Oh wait, that's you. Okay.
Peter stared at her, blinking slowly as he took in what she just said. Then without a word he began to shut the door, to which point Teresa's hand hosed out, pushing against it. Peter could easily shut it, but he was so surprised what was happening that he let Teresa start talking again. Listen,
I know this sounds crazy, but I have proof. I have adoption papers and my birth certificate right here.
Teresa told him as she reached into her purse and pulled out a few pieces of paper.
Everything here proves my parents were Richard and Mary Parker, that I have a brother named Peter, and that...
I don't know what sort of game you're playing, but it's not funny.
Peter told her as anger seeped into his voice.
I'm not even sure if I have a birth certificate, but I know I don't have a long-lost sister because I'm pretty sure my aunt and uncle would have told me.
Oh, May.
Sorry. Where are we?
What's going on?
I was
Peter?
trying to figure out who the fuck Teresa is.
She's a real character. I can confirm it.
Okay. Where the fuck are we?
What's going on, Peter?
What's going on, Peter?
May asked as she suddenly.
May asked as she suddenly walked up from behind him, looking at Teresa with worry.
Is there something wrong?
Peter.
Everything is fine, Aunt May. This crazy girl's insisting she's my twin sister. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Gets the gun.
Peter does not
replied,
actually.
and he was about to shut the door on Teresa when he saw the look on May's face. And it was one of such complete surprise, happiness, and hope that Peter paused, and he'd only be more worried when she looked away from Peter with shame.
May, what's wrong?
Peter, this will be a shock to hear.
She said hesitantly, placing a comforting hand on his. She took a deep breath as she was going to say the most difficult thing in the world, glancing at Teresa. She did.
But the truth is, you do have a twin sister.
Thank you, random fanfiction, for being the first I'm hearing that Peter Parker has a sister.
I could have told you that. I read the comic where it was revealed.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real.
But also, why would I ask? Why would I ask?
That's
you that?
true. It's from Chip Starsky's recent spectacular run.
Also, I really like this
Very
picture
good.
of her on the Marvel wiki of her shooting this dude's head off.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But
Nice.
oh, that's I guess that's neat.
Yeah.
It's not something I actually thought about. But
I will say, I
That's
guess my
cool.
one complaint is that at the ending was a little bit too abrupt. It was like, Peter, I'm your sister. Pfft, no, you're
No.
not. Turns around to Aunt May. Yeah.
yeah, about that, Chief.
I felt like there should have been some time to space that out. I think he could have ended on her going, I think you're my twin brother, and then just cut off there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I really needed.
Oh, this was published 9 hours ago.
Was it?
Wow, you found
Yeah.
a really fresh one.
Yeah, apparently. You know what? I'm gonna.
It wasn't
leave-
like-
because I was like, where's the follow up? And it's probably being written.
Yeah,
or
I'm
thought
gonna
of
leave
right
them
now.
a review. What
You
should
do
we?
that.
Okay, I'm gonna
Shill the podcast.
shill the
Chill
phone.
the podcast.
Saying we're featuring him and we're fans.
I think it was pretty good. It's
I did think it was pretty good. I
It was
think
neat.
see, my problem isn't wordy. I think it's just a problem with how fanfiction.net is laid out.
Uh-huh,
Like I really wish
agree.
fanfiction.net let you highlight the story because
Uh-huh.
I
Oh,
use that a
God,
lot
yeah.
to keep my to keep track.
I think I just need to make the text bigger and give it bigger spacing. Because you can space them out a little more. Okay. Let's take a minute. This is the first ever new section of the podcast. Let's write a review together, everybody. What should we say?
I thought it was a pretty good fan fiction. I like the setting. I like the amount of Spider-Man characters I had no idea existed were included and were given some time to shine. And my only issue is that it felt like it had like many run-on sentences, and there were some parts that just didn't make any sense. Yeah, that's where I stand. I thought it was pretty all right.
Me too.
Is Noah Body a real character, or is that?
I don't know.
Well, I'm on the Marvel wiki. I can look it up.
I see a Noah Body.
Dr. Noah Body.
I see an Earth 67 Noah Body.
Yeah, he's from the 1967 Spider-Man cartoon.
Ooh, that's another really good. Oh, I just got the name. I just got the joke of the name.
Yeah, Noah Body. There's also a villain known as Blank, who is similar. In terms of ability.
Yeah.
Noah Body.
There's a lot of spider characters that I didn't realize existed.
Yeah, Spider-Man's like the biggest superhero in the world.
Yeah.
You don't really think about that because, like, you look at the Marvel movies and there's 23 movies about a bunch of different characters.
Yeah. But you know what would be a good time for? You know what's a good time right now?
What?
A quick break.
Okay. Let's rate during the break, let's write this review.
Okay.
And then we can read it to the audience when we're done.
All right. Welcome back to the So You Think You Can Fanon. We got the review. So tell us all.
Hold on,
Jake.
I posted the review and now it's not showing up under the reviews. Basically, I just pointed out a few things such as he did a really good use of Spider-Man lore with like Noah Body and all of the like obscure villains that they referenced. I mentioned that their sentences are a bit of run-on sentences to make paragraphs unreasonably long. Not my exact wording, mind you. But I told them they could do with a little breaking up of the sentences, as well as a lot of seemingly auto-corrected, like, caused misspellings and grammar issues. But other than that, everyone here enjoyed it, which is true. I'd say it was a good story.
Yeah.
I like the like half its own thing, half Spider-Man noir kind of thing it's taking on. You know?
So I thought we could have a little fun with Spider-Man here and kind of say some of our favorite Spider-Men from the different universes. Kind of just shoot those out. And
Spider's Man, the collection of spiders that ate Peter Parker and then absorbed his personality.
Yeah. Good times.
Spider Cop, not Spider-Man 2016, but the actual Spider-Man who is a cop that was in the recent Spider-Verse thing.
yeah,
I liked
cool.
I like Peter B. Parker a lot as a representation of Spider-Man. I think he's a really, really good representation of what Spider-Man could be in the future if they actually let him grow up instead of trying to make him look younger. Spider-Man's back in college for like the 4th time. What the
Yeah.
hell? Let him age. Like it's okay to age. That's fine.
I think one of my favorite ones is Peter Parker from Earth 30847, which is the Capcom fighting game Spider-Man.
Marvel
It is-
like Marvel versus Capcom Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's a real ass universe of Spider-Man.
I always figured that the Marvel versus Capcom renditions were the like the 616 renditions.
No, they're its own universe.
I guess that makes sense, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Kind of
it's,
that's kind of surprising, I guess.
he has the same kind of abilities and powers. It's just that like for whatever reason everything's kind of treated like a video game. Like if he gets like one hit knocked out, it, like the words perfect will appear. Yeah, it's really cool.
What in the
There's also the Goblin, which is like instead of Spider-Man becoming Spider-Man through spider powers, he becomes like the Green Goblin.
Is he still a superhero?
I think so. Let me double check. I mean, he was in one. Like I'm looking at kind of the casualties of Spider-Verse, and it was.
Was he in Spider-Geddon? He
Uh,
probably was. I think I
I don't
remember
even-
someone like that.
No, it's
being-
just Spider-Verse. It was every Spider-Man ever.
Yeah, but they did a sequel called Spider-Geddon.
Yeah, which was not as good.
Oh.
And I wasn't a big fan of the original Spider-Verse, so that's saying a lot.
No, he appeared in Spider-Verse Team Up.
Let's see here.
Which-
I gotta shout out the emissary of hell, Tatsuo Yamashiro.
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man Japan.
Spider-Man.
He's gonna be in the next Spider-Verse animated movie if
Yes.
they're
I can't
still
wait.
keeping that promise, and I can't wait.
I really hope that they call him the emissary of hell.
I think they will, and then everyone's gonna be like, "What is he saying?"
I like I like there's a part in one of the Spider-Verse comics where he's fighting a monster and like Doc Ock, Spider-Man, and some others come to recruit him, and they're like, "Could you just use the finisher?" And he's like, "No, not to the end. As I just use it," and he uses it, and the monster immediately goes down. Because I read a very dumb thread on r/Common Writer that people were trying to say that the finishing move is like a 1 HP attack and it's not actually their most powerful move, which I think is just dumb, and that comic proves that that's not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to give another shout out to I don't know if this universe has its own like designation, but it's from the run I mentioned earlier, the Chip Zdarsky spectacular run. There's an arc where a time travel arc where Peter time travels back to when he's like 15 and he teams up with the past Spider-Man. Like the beginning of Spider-Man, and I really like, I'll post a picture of it. I really like the attention to detail they have, where how Ditko would color the suit black instead of blue. And well, it was supposed to be black instead of blue, and the reason they used the blue is because blue ink is cheaper. And that's why if you notice a lot of black, like Venom is blue, but Venom is not blue. Because
Yeah, like in MVC 2, his default is blue, but his alternate skin changes him to black.
yeah. But
I think
yeah,
is
and then when he goes back to the future, he discovers that he accidentally created an alternate timeline where he quit being Spider-Man. And it was a very interesting story. I really like the black and red that I posted it. I think it looks really good.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of when Black and Red's a good one. I think that Miles Morales' entire suit is pretty much black and red, which shows just how clean it is, but
Oh, I
Man.
just realized this episode is accidentally relevant because that game comes out tomorrow. As
Exactly.
of recording, tomorrow.
as
I
of
wanna-
recording, it will come out this episode comes out on Friday, which means that it will be out for a day.
Yes. I want to take this moment to complain about something with the new game. I'm going to preface this with absolutely no spoilers.
Is this the face model? Is this about the
No,
face model?
this is not about the face model. This is about I don't know how to describe it in a short way, but I'm going to say just like describe my plight. So, Spider-Man, PS4, Marvel's Spider-Man, Sony's Marvel's Spider-Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they were advertising that game, they were like, it's going to be a whole new universe with its whole new story. We're going to be reinventing everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. That's great. They did a really good job.
Yeah.
How come in fucking Miles Morales they show off Miles' costume and it's just the 616 costume? It's literally in canon from Spider-Geddon. Whenever it crossed, one of the big advertisements for Spider-Geddon is that it crossed over with Spider-Man PS4 because they came out at the same time. And in that story, PS4 Spider-Man literally says that he's stealing the design of Miles' costume to give it to Miles from his universe. I just don't understand why like the first game they were advertising like, oh, it's our own thing. We wanted to do our own Spider-Man design. And then for Miles, they were just like, here's the normal design.
I mean, at least they gave a reason for it.
Yeah, but that's still like, I don't know. I think he should have made his own design of his costume. Like,
I think it would have been sick to have like kind of the black and the red, and then to keep in theme with the PlayStation 4 to give like some white accents.
Why not just give him like the tracksuit that Insomniac
I
designed?
don't
Miles?
like the tracksuit though.
You don't like this one? I think this would have been a great costume for him.
No, I don't like the tracksuit design.
Why not?
It's got too much white on it.
It differentiates him from Peter.
I know, but I think the black and the red already differentiates himself from Peter. I think it would have been, if they were to swap the red and the white, I think I would like it. Like like a white spider with the red webbing, and then like the rest is like just a bright red. I think that would have been sick.
I wasn't really a fan of PS4 Peter's suit either.
I wasn't a big fan of it,
Honestly,
but I think if they wanted like state that they want to reinvent Spider-Man and like redo everything, why did they not do it for Miles? Even with like the plot, like his dad, spoiler alerts for Spider-Man PS4, it's like a 2-year-old game though, his dad dies. That's just something from the comic. Like it feels weird that they're like, we want to reinvent Spider-Man, and then they just like,
I mean, there's still going to be like some things that are going to carry over from Spider-Man. It's not like it's going to be something that's completely original, but like I'm all for, you know, Miles kind of having like a different suit design. It's just, I mean, as someone who was like kind of indifferent to PS4 Spider-Man suit, like I thought it was clean, but like it wasn't like something I thought was the best suit design, because suit design is very, very opinionated.
yes, I agree.
I remember when it was a few weeks ago, so it's not like something that happened a long time ago, but it was like Insomniac was like, we're proud to announce the Prowler's going to be in the game. I was like, why wouldn't he be? It's a Miles Morales game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I will say, this is actually absolutely speculation. I have no idea what the plot of the game is. I've been avoiding spoilers. I also like this costume I don't know. Without the cowl, it would be
that
good.
costume kind of shits.
Without the cowl, I think this would be a good costume. But I hope that there's a moment where, like I know I just said I don't like that they're going off the comics, but they didn't really do this in the movie, so I think it'd be interesting to do it in the game, where Miles has like an existential crisis because his uncle dies and is like, you're a criminal like me, and then he's like, what do I do? I think they should have something like that, and then have to have like Peter to anchor him.
I'm glad that they didn't do that in Spider-Verse. I thought it was way better. But
Well,
like, I mean, I feel like that's something that they might probably pull on
I think
Miles, but
I think
it's a shorter game.
I think they don't want to be too similar to Spider-Verse. I'm assuming.
I don't think. I mean, I think that they should lean more into Spider-Verse because Spider-Verse kind of saved Miles for a lot of people.
I mean,
Or, like they liked that Miles way more because he wasn't stuck in Peter's shadow.
Uh-huh.
I think the entire point of Miles's character is to not be in Peter's shadow anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think any
But then they brought
not.
him into the main universe and put him into Peter's shadow.
Yeah.
Which I think is dumb.
Stupid. I hope they just keep them separate. That's how it should have been. Like, there should be a Peter, and then there should be a Miles. Like, they should not coexist. And if they coexist, then that's just, I don't like that universe.
Yeah. But yeah, do we have anything else we want to talk about?
Personally, no. I don't really have anything else I could think of.
Yeah, me neither.
I guess I wanted to bring up because I wanted to bring up the ending of Spider-Man PS4.
It was good.
I mean, yeah, it was good, but I was cause isn't the Venom symbiote at the end of it?
Yeah.
In the tube.
Yeah, with Harry was wearing it.
Cause what were your thoughts on that? Cause I thought we were gonna, at least my theory is that we were getting Harry Osborn Venom.
I'm gonna be
For the
honest.
second one.
I have not played Spider-Man PlayStation 4. Thank you for spoiling it.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I said spoilers for the game, so to be fair,
here's the thing.
I did give you a spoiler warning.
There are some stuff that I'm aware of, like Aunt May and Peter. Unless is the symbiote thing something new that happened with like the DLC or something?
No, it's at the end of the base game.
End credit scene.
Yeah.
Oh,
basically.
I just never saw that. Then.
Yeah. No, at the end,
'Cause, like,
it shows Norman Osborn in his like secret laboratory in his penthouse, and he's like, "We'll find a way to help you, son." And then it like a thingy opens up, and it shows Harry in like a stasis chamber, wearing the Venom symbiote.
Oh, okay. It was just like I was not aware that there was the end credit scene. I was only aware that there was a Spider-Man game and it was really good.
No,
so
it is really good. You should get it. You have a PS4 and you're gonna get a 5.
Well, here's the thing though. The problem was at the time when that came out, my sister was really into Fortnite, and my parents were just like, "Yeah, you can have your the PlayStation 4, the family PlayStation 4 in your room," and she's like, "Cool." And then I never really got a chance to play it. So like, the last game I got to play on PlayStation 4 was Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I didn't even get to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I'm hoping to get a PlayStation 5 just so I can finally play through Spider-Man PS4 and Miles Morales, as well as finish 7 Remake.
I didn't think I would be impressed by the ray tracing. Holy shit, it looks good.
It does look good.
I always forget, like, I'm like, ray tracing's not that cool. And then I see it, and I'm like, oh!
Like, here's the thing. I don't care about 60 FPS, personally. I think it's neat, but it doesn't hamper my experience if I don't have it. So, like, I'm fine with playing with ray tracing to get a good-ass looking Spider-Man game. I'm conflicted,
because I want the ray tracing, but I want the fucking
60 frames.
Yeah.
It's the same way with Devil May Cry Special Edition. I don't know if you saw, but Devil May Cry Special Edition, if you turn off the bells and whistles, it supports 1080p 120 FPS.
Nice. I'm mad that it's not coming to PC.
I would DMC is the one game I would play in 60 FPS though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it has I think it's 4K 60, and then if you turn off the ray trace, no, it's 4K 30 with the ray tracing, 4K 60 with it off.
I'm definitely gonna buy a 4K TV though to play PS5.
Yeah, I would because I have my super high refresh rate monitor, but the PS5 doesn't support 1440p for some reason.
Yeah, it also doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
Oh well.
I don't really understand that.
Yeah, I don't know why it does. I could just, if I wanted to play a game that was in a higher refresh rate, I would just hook it to my monitor anyway. But 1080p ends up looking a little scuffed on this monitor. Like I notice a big jump in quality when I change it from 1080p to 1440p.
Yeah. Anyway,
with my luck, I probably won't be getting a PlayStation 5 for a long time.
Yeah, me neither.
So...
That's okay.
But like I got gift cards and shit for it, so I'm ready when it does come.
I'm hoping I can get one for Christmas if it's in stock.
I will tell you, because I work retail, we didn't get any for release, and there's been a nationwide delay, and according to GameStop, they probably won't be able to fulfill those orders until 2021.
I mean,
So-
I got a 3080, so I think I might be able to
Meanwhile-
use my luck.
Meanwhile, my brother gets his tomorrow. Fuck you, Zach, if you're listening. And Sarah, if you're listening, tell Zach I said fuck you. But yeah, anyways, I've got nothing else to talk about. If you guys have nothing else to talk about, we
Yeah,
can
I
call
think
it
I'm
here.
good.
Serge?
I'm gonna get my shell out of the way. Yakuza Like a Dragon. Go buy it. It's
Go
pretty
buy
good
it.
So far.
Go buy Yakuza games so they can come to PC and I can get the remastered collection again.
I'm exactly 94 minutes into it, and I like it so far.
Yeah.
I've never played a Yakuza game, but make them happy.
Buy Yakuza 0, buy Yakuza 1, buy Yakuza 2, buy Yakuza Like a Dragon. Go get a PS4, get 3, 4, 5, and 6. Play the games. They're really fun. That's all I got. See you next week when we do a front flip. I'm not going to say who, but one of us is going to do it.
Is it gonna be off a building?
No, it's going to be
I'll
off
do it off a building and then swing from a web.
Yeah, Spider-Man style. See you next week.
Bye.